Set some more Dark Arts video 130. Now, let's get into this. So, I apologize in the last video where I was speaking on lucid dreaming, the part 2 video. And what happened was the video camera on my tablet suddenly cut off. So, but where it cut off, I felt I had made my point when I was finishing that thought. And I figured, well, I'll just upload it. I will get back to speaking on dreams, but for now, I want to go in a little bit different direction for a moment. And what I would like to speak on is the fact that you have many personalities, there are many identities, many levels of consciousness, even within you, as a part of your whole being. And sometimes in a lot of philosophies, you may hear things like you have to kill the ego, or you have to suppress certain portions of yourselves. Listen, guys, every portion of yourself, no matter how good or bad you may think it may be, has a purpose. And I'll give you an example. Some of you may feel that you have a violent side to you. There may be a portion of yourself, of your personality, that you just don't like. And you'll say to yourself, I need to suppress this part of myself. Some of you may even say you need to kill it off and get rid of it. I see it differently. And how I see it is that even the most violent, aggressive nature portions of yourself have purpose. And there's a time and place for everything. So, say for example, that there is a part of you that you feel is just a little bit too aggressive. It can be violent. But you know that on a daily basis of dealing with other individuals, that's not the best way to go about moving around for daily life and physical reality. It could lead to many issues, whether they be at work, whether it be in public, violence from other individuals who see your presence as a threat to them and their nature of existence. So, what do? I'll give you one method that you could do. See, what you have to do is, first of all, you have to understand that all of these portions are a part of you. But instead of trying to kill off those portions of yourselves that you feel might be aggressive in nature or even violent, you make peace with them. And I'm going to get a bit technical now. So, as I said in the last video, I believe if you don't know about this and you're just tuning in, it's fine. Sit back, relax, just listen. And even if you may not feel on this level yet with your abilities, it may trigger something within you and you could suddenly manifest them. It is all up to you, but do not be afraid because you hear me speaking on things that may seem a bit out of your depth. That's actually a good thing. You should listen to things out of your depth because it would trigger maybe not exactly the same effects of what I speak of, but it will essentially get the ball started and get the ball rolling in that direction, and it will help you to achieve the things I do speak of. So, this portion of yourself that you see as violent, why would you want to kill that off? Now, of course, the logical explanation would be, well, I don't want it to cause trouble in my life. It may lead to something, bad. But did you ever consider the fact there may come a time in your life where that portion that you feel is violent, it's aggressive, it's rude, it's like a wild animal, that may be exactly what you need at that time. So, for example, let's say you're in your home and you are generally a peaceful person, right? And let's say you're a religious person, right? Let's say, and what I'm about to get into now, I'm not criticizing any religion, but I'm simply making a point. Let's say that you believe in the power of Christ or whatever specific religion it is that you believe in. And whenever you have a hard time, you'll say, oh God, please, Lord Jesus, give me strength. I need the strength right now. to overcome this event. And sometimes that may work. It may work for you. As I said, there's nothing is really set in stone. Each individual is different. I offer different takes on situations because I know they may benefit people in different ways, in different lifestyles, and different circumstances. So let's say that you're not really a violent person, but you have this portion of yourself somewhere deep inside. Now, let's say that whenever you have a hard time, as I said, you pray to Jesus, you pray to whatever your God is or whatever you believe in. But you're at home right now, and someone kicks in the door, it's 3 a.m., it's a home invasion, or there's just an intruder in the house, they're coming up the stairs, bam, they kick in your bedroom door, you hear your daughter screaming, your wife screaming. At that moment, the power of Jesus Christ is not who you need to call out to. Now, as I said, I know some people may claim, well, I did it and it worked for me, and that's good for you. Then this is not for you. This is for other individuals. That portion of yourself that you consider to be violent, wild, aggressive, dangerous, lethal, that is what you may need to trigger at that moment. Now, clearly, I'm not saying you need to idolize or pray to this portion of yourself. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm not comparing this portion of yourself similar to Christ or any Christ figure, any holy figures. I'm simply saying that you have to be able to switch personalities and switch levels of consciousness depending on the situation at hand. The power of the Holy Spirit may empower some, but let's say if you are an individual who doesn't believe in that, you need to switch the levels of consciousness to match the situation. And that portion of yourself that you've been suppressing all these years, trying to kill off, trying to get rid of it, weakening it, that is exactly what you need right now in this moment. You need explosive energy, courage, and the confidence to attack head on this threat that is standing before you in your bedroom. And this is something that you have to learn to just trigger on the spot at the moment, in the heat of the moment. Now, if you spent the last 20 years suppressing this, and this scenario takes place, what are you calling upon? Who are you calling upon? Yes, you could call on God to help you, give you strength. And as I said, it may help some individuals. But for the individuals who don't believe in a God, which you should believe in all that is, but for those of you that don't have that, but you do believe in something, you need to call on something. And if you don't have the strength to take on this encounter, this threat, where does it come from then? In that scenario, there's only one option here, really. You do nothing. And what happens? You could hope to be graced by the intruder that they'll simply just rob you or tie you up and not harm you or your family. But we have to be realistic. In this day and age, that's not really going to happen, most likely. They probably are going to do things to you and your family, and you may not survive the event. Or you may live alone. This could happen to anyone. Just because you don't have a family doesn't mean it can't happen. It could happen to you alone. It could happen to men. Anyone could be robbed or be a part of a home invasion or an intruder in the home. So you need to call upon this energy. And this is why I say you have to make this lifestyle. First of all, it's something that you have to just know. But there are ways that you could make it more interesting too. So this is how I see it. You speak to those portions of yourselves, the ones that you feel are not beneficial at the moment. And one way is that you could say, listen, first of all, let me go back. You meditate, right? Go into your inner self, your inner world, your mental state. Go inside of yourself. And some of you may need to give this form that you feel is aggressive an identity or just something visual that you can identify with. Now, that could be in the shape of anything that you want. Who knows? I don't know. Everyone's different, right? Maybe your violent nature takes the form of a famous movie character, or a famous character from a book or a story, or even a famous holy figure. It doesn't matter. But you have to give it some form so that you can continue what I'm going to talk about in this process. So you give it a form. Now, whatever the form you give to it, there's two processes. One, you could give it a form, or you could do the easy way of let it be formless. And that way it can match up whatever your expectations are as you go through life. Remember, something or someone that was seen as a symbol of strength 10 years ago may not have the same effect on you 10 years later. Something that seemed very powerful to you as a child may not have that same powerful effect and impact on you if you're in your 40s or 50s. So I would say to leave the option open for this thought form that you're talking about, that we're going to attribute these characteristic traits, personality traits of violence and aggression to. I would say it would be best if you just let it be free form, where it could adapt itself to whatever is impressive on you at the time. But you go into your inner state, in your inner world, and you meditate and speak to it. You could get creative. Make it as if it's a conference table. It could be a conference room. It could be in a temple. It could be anything that you want to imagine. Remember, imagination is the key. It's the bridge between worlds. So imagine it to be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to. Remember, this is just for you. So you don't have to talk about this with anyone. But you put yourself in a situation where you're speaking one to one with this inner portion of yourself. And you basically can say to it, listen, let me reason with you. Let's come to an agreement. Tell that portion of yourself, don't berate it. Don't tell it, I cast you out. I don't need you anymore. You're no use to me. No. You tell it, listen, I respect you and I love you. And we are a part of each other. You're a part of me, I'm a part of you. We support each other. However, the way that you are and the aggressive that you have may not be beneficial for both of us at all times. Although I do value your skill set or your services. So why not? I will give you an environment that you could relax in and be at peace in, but also where you could hone your skills and your talents, however they may be. And there may come a time, I hope not, but there may come a time where I will have to call upon you in a time of need. And when you have this conversation, which is really a conversation with yourself, you're basically putting yourself at ease. You're putting that portion of yourself at ease to feel more relaxed and not controlling it, not subduing it. You're coming to agreement with terms so that you both can live together in harmony. And trying to cut it out like it's a cancer or a part or a disease is not beneficial to you. Because as I've said, there might come a time where you may need this portion of yourself. And for people who have done these practices, they know exactly what I speak of. There have always been times where many individuals, including myself, excuse me, you're in a situation somewhere. It could be in public, it could be at a hall center somewhere, it could be on the subway. And you're minding your own business. I mean, you're having a time of your life. You listen to your iTunes, you got your music going, you could be watching a YouTube video, you're relaxing, you're thinking, man, life is good, I got money, I'm feeling real confident in myself, and I don't have any problems. And suddenly here comes that guy on the train, or woman, or whoever. They come through, you take one look at them, and you just know they're looking for trouble. This person wants trouble. You see it a mile away. You sense it on them. You can smell it on them almost. And they could either be just, they could be very calm about it. You could see them type of feeling people out, looking around or who might be an easy victim or catch for them. And, or they might just start harassing people. Now, there's a multiple number of things you could do. You could just get up and get off the train. You could switch train cars. You could just stay there and hope that this person just gets off before you or they leave you alone and walk by. But sometimes, unfortunately, you end up in the crosshairs of these individuals. And once again, I'm not advocating for violence, but I'm simply making a point. We live in a time where anything could happen, literally anything, especially in the physical world. People will randomly just come out of nowhere and attack people for whatever reasons. And the thing that I've always hated to see the most is for an individual, especially those in a male form, to cower before another individual. Now, I understand that everyone cannot be a fighter. I understand everyone does not have the skill set to defend themselves, although they should. Self-defense should be something that should just be taught from a very basic young age. All individuals should know how to defend themselves. But if this person walked by, turned around suddenly, and just backhand slapped you and started pummeling you, you have less than a fraction of a second to switch your state of consciousness to match this aggression. Now, a lot of people will say, some may say, well, no, you could try to reason with them, tell the person, let's be serious. That doesn't work. In this scenario that I'm talking about, we're talking about a highly aggressive individual. There's no reasoning with them. We're on a moving train. The next station is a while away to get to the next station. So by the time people are screaming, people may help you, they may not help you. By the time anything as far as the authorities are known and alerted to this, the damage could be done. So the first line of defense is going to be yourself. And you see, I'm going into self-defense, but then I'm also going into the spiritual or levels of consciousness because it's all one. It all connects. So you might not be able to defend yourself in that moment because you're so caught up on, I'm spiritual now, I'm a holy being, and nothing can hurt me. But you've forgotten that we're still in a physical reality, and these issues do come up from time to time. So what happens in that moment? As I said, some people may cower. They drop to the floor, put their hands up, beg for mercy. Usually that just turns up the flame with these individuals and they take pleasure in that. So you would have a fraction of a second to tap in to that other portion of yourself. The moment this individual comes on the train, you're already giving that inner portion of yourself the heads up. You're sitting there on your phone, you go, hey man, might be time to get busy. And that portion of you is like sitting back in the inner reality, in the inner realms, in a beach chair with a cocktail going, what are you talking about, man? We gotta fight. Oh shit. And then they start getting warmed up. But this is how things happen, right? So then that portion of yourself who's been waiting, sitting down, waiting for this exact moment, is excited. Now, I'm not saying that this is something you should be happy about. I hope this doesn't happen, even to myself. I don't want to be in these situations. But that portion of yourself has been waiting for this one moment. It's been relaxing in the inner realms. It's been relaxing in inner reality. But this is its sole purpose. I'm not saying that this is all it could do. All entities, all forms of consciousness are growing. So that portion of yourself that used to be violent, it may have learned to be peaceful now. It may be at peace. It may have its own thing going on in the inner realms. It's relaxing, it's having a good time. It's basically sitting back, enjoying life with you on your journey. Your pleasures are its pleasures. And you both give it back and forth in a give and take, symbiosis. But at its core, remember, and it remembers what it was originally created for, to dish out aggressiveness and violence that may be necessary at certain times. And this is what you need to tap into at that moment. Remember, no one is going to help you. Someone may help you, but do you want to gamble on that? So the first line of defense is always yourself. And it's not just physical, it's also spiritual or psychic or mental or whatever term that makes you feel comfortable that you want to use. But at the end of the day, having physical altercations are not just a physical thing, it's also internal. Because if you are a coward internally and in your inner state, and it all connects to everything, right? Tying back to lucid dreams, I don't want to detract, but if you are fearless in the inner realms and you're fearless in your mental travels and your meditations and your out of body states, most likely you will also be fearless in the physical world and you will see things from a different perspective. But if you are a coward in your inner realms, you're a coward in your dream states, you're a coward in any non physical state, why would you expect to suddenly become a superhero on the subway who can take someone on face to face? It's not really who you are. So to give yourself that extra boost. Now remember, I'm not saying just because you tap into this, don't misunderstand. Just because you had that conversation with that portion of yourself and everything I spoke of earlier, it doesn't mean that suddenly you become this world first class martial artist, UFC, MMA fighter, karateka. It doesn't work that way. You still might get your you know what handed to you. But the point is that instead of cowering in the corner and begging for help and mercy, you will be able to at least attempt to defend yourself. And if you have that inner portion of yourself that we spoke of, giving you that extra added energy, that's what's going to help you possibly and potentially survive that situation that happens. So, sorry, it's chair, man. But anyway, yeah, so you have to be ready for these things. You have to be ready for them. And as I said, it's not always just a simple matter of the physical world. It's always going to be connected. Everything is connected. Inner world, outer world, it's all connected. And those of you who fight professionally or have fought at some point, you know that the fighting game, a lot of it is mental. Yes, you got to do the training. Yes, you got to do the conditioning, but it's also mental. All the training and conditioning are pointless if you're afraid. If you are afraid, it pretty much all the training goes out the window. And on top of that, yeah, you just have to be, you have to have that internal portion of yourself that's ready to take these challenges head on. And it will help you in the long run. It definitely is going to it's going to help you. So remember what I said. Coming back, circling back around to the exercise, go into your meditation state, go into your inner realm, and find that portion of yourself that you feel may be aggressive. Give it an image that you could associate with, whatever that may be. There's all types of things, whether it be in the form of media, religious figures, ancient figures, fantasy figures. It doesn't matter. But whatever has an impressive impact on you psychologically, mentally, spiritually, on a conscious level, and you give it that speech that I told you about. You know, let it know. They have to let these things know. I do value you. There is a place for you. I don't want to cut you out. I don't want to banish you from myself. I don't want to reject you. I love you and I care about you. But unfortunately, just you being aggressive, manifesting yourself in my daily life, in our daily life, in the physical realm, it's not beneficial. It's going to lead to us either getting arrested, going to jail, causing unnecessary problems, and then that leads to a whole nother reality that neither one of us want to have to deal with on a daily basis. So you want to give it a space and get creative with it, guys. You can make a space. You could make image where you want this portion of yourself to live at, where you want it to be doing on the inside world, on the inner realms. But the key point of all of this, remember, this is all up to you. It all comes back to you create your reality. Everything I speak of, it's always up for interpretation, your own interpretation, or how you want to do these things. There's no set way. I never tell you you must do it this way, you must do it that way. You may find another exercise that's similar to this one, or you may make offshoots of this one, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the intention is what is important, and the intention of what the purpose of what you're trying to do, and that is to not cut out, not isolate, not quarantine, basically come to terms with an agreement with the other portions of yourself and let it know that it can enjoy a great life in the inner realms of your inner self, and there may come a time when you may need its assistance. And this is just one way of how you make life interesting. Now, there are many different exercises, right? There's so many different spiritual teachers, gurus, and people of this nature, and they'll tell you this is how you have to do this and this is how you do that. You can create your own way. That's the whole point of you create your own reality. I simply offer some concepts and ideas that may be beneficial to you, they may not be, or they may just get you thinking and you could come up with your own ideas. But remember, the intent is what is the most important. And for people who laugh, right, I just want to say this last bit before we finish up. I give you a bit of ammunition to prepare yourself, mentally at least, how to. Now, you don't have to have a debate with people, but it's really to make yourself feel stronger. Anyone who laughs at you and says, well, all this sounds like a bunch of nonsense, this is ridiculous, what is this guy talking about, what does he know, everything he's saying is wrong, the holy scriptures say the truth and this is what it is. Look, or if, even for people who don't believe, for atheists would say that's a lot of nonsense. This is how I see it, right? Everything I tell you is from direct experience. Now, those of you who watch my past videos, you know the path that I was on and how all this came about. And certain teachers came through my life that are still there and come through. And at some point, I recognized the family that I was a part of in terms of consciousness on non-physical level. And to this day, I haven't shifted. A lot of people jump around, right? They want to jump from here to here. And I understand that. You're trying to find your place in existence. Where am I? What am I? What you are at the end of the day, you're a multidimensional being. You manifest and create your own reality. But there are families of consciousness, and I've spoken on that in past videos. You go look back the old videos. I talked about the families of consciousness. But at some point, I don't need to keep speaking on that anymore because it is what it is now. At that time, it was new and I was explaining it. But I feel now you have to do your own research and find out what is your family and what are you a part of. Right here on this channel, I may be part of that family, or I may not be. You could just be passing through. But the point I'm trying to make is this. For people who are just jumping around from place to place, and one day they're this, and tomorrow I'm that, and today I'm an atheist, now I'm a Buddhist, and, and they're all over the place, they tend to be very weak spiritually and mentally because they think that they're collecting all these things from different religious ideologies, but they don't really have any foundation. And as I mentioned in past videos, that there are an infinite number of families of consciousness out there. It's an infinite number. And you see them all over the place. People pop up on the internet all the time. If anyone's giving you an ideology to believe in, that's a family of consciousness. And you can either just buy into it, you flick through YouTube and you go, oh, I like this one, I'm going to join this, and I believe in that. But do you truly believe in it? And I mentioned, I believe it before, and I'll say it again now, that not to make people take this interpreted wrong, but there is a type of initiation, or I would say recruitment process that goes on throughout existence, where families of consciousness, now they don't really recruit you, they could make themselves known to you, and it's actually you that makes you decide to join those families. So it's not like something comes to you and says, hey, come join us, although it may in certain forms, but really it's about you notice these families of consciousness, and then you make the decision if you want to be a part of them, if they align with what you believe in and what you are. Because your individuality comes first before anything. So for me, I've already gone through the process of coming across certain things. And what I would say is that I was reached out to, basically. I'll put it like that. And it was impressive enough to me that, well, it was impressive. And it left an impression on me. And then that's when I knew what I was a part of and what I belonged to. And I haven't faltered since. Since the beginning of these videos started. I think I've been on YouTube now 12 years off and on. But I believe I checked. I said I think the first videos were going back 12 years ago. I think I can't remember, but yeah, all the way from back then till now, I've been sticking with the same family of consciousness of what I am and what I'm a part of, and I haven't faltered at all because it's what I am, and it resonates with what I am. So the question or the idea I put to you is you need to find your family of consciousness and stick with it. It's okay to experiment if you want to jump around from belief to belief. You always have to try new things and see what you are. But at some point, you have to find yourself. Find yourself, find out what you are, and then just stick with it and then grow from there. Don't feel the need to be a Buddhist today and atheist. You could do these things. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you can't experiment. But the point I'm making is you must have a foundation. And just as a very simple, small example, see, with my foundation, I basically, if someone was to pass me a holy text or religious book or anything, I could go right through it. And I could basically, when you get to this level of I'm at, regardless of what family of consciousness you find yourself in, there's just certain things about existence that you just see it quickly. You could go through the whole holy text and you could basically pick out and go, okay, this is that, that's this is what they mean here. And you just go through it and you know it. You're able to detect and basically look through all of the fluff or just things that you feel might be off or things you don't resonate with. And you can get to it much quicker, the core of what these teachings are talking about. And it's like that with all, if you listen to all the holy texts and all the religious beliefs and what they put forward, if you really pay attention, most of them are saying the same thing, aside from things that you know might be out of place or just not right. Excuse me. But basically, they're all saying the same thing. Or some of them have some truths that are similar, some of them don't. But when you accept that you're a multidimensional being, really, even with the family of consciousness thing, even that is limited to a degree. Because even if you recognize I'm a part of this family of consciousness, this is who I associate with, it still comes down to the basics and the base of what you are, which is a multidimensional being. You could change a family of consciousness at any point. So it really just comes down to what you are. Recognizing what you are, and when you realize and know what you are, not just believe, when you know what you are, well, then you could pretty much do anything. And you could see through anything, you could understand most things very quickly. So I'm gonna finish the video here because it's hitting 30-minute mark, and I'll be back with another one. But think about what I talked about, meditate on it, and don't be shy to comment in the comment section. Thanks everybody, love you guys, and I'll be back later.